Do you know what I like about you?
I honestly don't.
You're not a hero.
Oh. I've been heroic on occasion. I once charged through the mudgate of King's Landing.
I don't want you to be a hero. Heroes do stupid things and they die. Drogo, Jorah, Dario, even this Jon Snow. They all try to outdo each other. Who can do the stupidest, bravest thing?
It's interesting, these heroes you name. Drogo, Jorah, Dario, even this Jon Snow. They all fell in love with you.
Jon Snow fell in love with you?
Oh, my mistake. I suppose he stares at you longingly because he's hopeful for a successful military alliance. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I wish I could take it back. I wish we'd never gone.
I don't. If we hadn't gone, I wouldn't have seen. You have to see it to know. Now I know. The dragons are my children. They're the only children I'll ever have. Do you understand? We are going to destroy the Night King and his army. We'll do it together. You have my word.
We are the Watchers on the Couch. We are the voices that guide the realms of men. We are the Night's Watch. And welcome back. I'm your host, Kal the Kingslayer, and alongside me, as always, I have Lord Tom and Lady Kimber of House Odd-Shaped Channel. And tonight we have a special guest, the King in the North, Morgan.
Hello, everyone. I'm very excited for this.
He actually survived the trip, seeing me on Saturday, so I'm pleased to present him being here on the Night's Watch. So thank you for joining us.
Oh, absolutely. Seriously, I can't wait for this. I'm very thankful you actually spared me this past weekend. I was fearful for my life.
There were some shaky moments, you know, some things you said that made me question if I want to spare you or not. But, you know, we made it through. We had a great time, and your beard was real. So for Nolan and Billy, in case they hadn't seen the tweet.
Yes.
So we had a pretty epic episode. I know there were some complaints online, and some people didn't think it was the best. I know there had some downfalls, but I think all in all, it's still been a great season and a good episode, and things have been flowing pretty well. But before we get to that, we must start out with our announcements as usual. And once again, I want to remind everyone about our Night's Watch charity raffle that we're doing for our good friend Tina. And of course, the prize is the Song of Ice and Fire book set. And as you see, the raffle values over there. Remember, all proceeds raised will be donated to Tina to help pay for her medication that's not covered by Medicaid. And if you want to find more about Tina's story, you can check her out at LostDogs20 on Twitter. Please DM me at NightsWatchTube or email me nightswatchtube@gmail.com. Or if you know my main Twitter that you guys mostly contact me at, you can also hit me up at VirenJadejaVu. So remember, it's for a good cause, and the raffle will be ending on the 31st. So I'll probably be picking a winner on the 31st and make a little short video about that and post it. And then I'll probably send the donation in on the 1st because I know some people don't get paid till the 1st. So they want to give me the money on the 1st, and I'll make a video of us sending in the donation also on the 1st as well. So I'll probably announce the winner on the 31st and donate the money on the 1st. I know we'd thank Vicky, Elise, and Mormo for donating already. And I know I have a few people who already pledged to donate for when I see them next time. A couple of people from my softball team, I'll see them on Sunday, and they pledged to donate some money. And I know Jeff also, our maester for the Night's Watch, was also pledged to donate money to us as well. So we're having some more donations coming in. If anyone else wants to donate, please let us know, and we'll be happy to contribute. So thank you very much for that. Our next segment, of course, as always, we have our Take the Black segment, where we have, Janine made some lovely shirts for us at Janine Devine at G9 Designs. She made the Night's Watch shirt. So if you buy it and support the cause, we will show you on the show. So our next person that actually bought the show, it's going to take me a second to flip the picture as well, is my friend Ken over here. He got the Night's Watch shirt, and he also got this other cool Night's King shirt. So I don't know which side he's supporting right here. He's kind of hedging both his bets, right? So, but thanks to Ken for taking the black and joining the Night's Watch. So now your watch has begun. But I guess if he puts on the other shirt, he's going to be coming and charging us. So we'll see what happens. We'll see. Keep your eye out for him. He could have the shirt. It could be like one of those wrestling things where he pulls the heel and just takes our shirt off and has that shirt underneath. So get ready for that. So overall thoughts on this episode before we jump right in to the recap. What do you guys think? Well, I'll go to Morgan first since you're new to the show. Well, not new, but being on the show for the first time. How do you feel about this episode overall and the flow of the season since you've really been, with the time difference, you really haven't been on the Night's Watch. So your whole season and this episode as well. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've really liked this season. I know, and I really like this episode. I know some people have had some sort of issues with the sort of pacing and the time jumping. It's really not bothered me in any way. I've just sort of taken, as I usually do when watching Game of Thrones, I usually just take everything as it comes. And yeah, I really, really like this episode. Probably my personal favorite of the season so far, because I like all the stuff with the ice and the whites and the everything, as opposed to, the spoils of war with the big field of fire. This was my sort of battle that I wanted to see, and I got that, so I'm very happy.
Yeah, I thought it was a great episode. I know there's a lot of people who talk about the time jumping, but we've had a lot of that this season, and the season's going to go fast now because we only have, starting the season, we only had like 13 episodes left total, so the pacing was going to be sped up a little bit. But I know I saw on Reddit there's like explanations for all the time jumping, at least for this episode, about the flights and all that, where it could actually happen looking at the map of Westeros and all that. But I don't really let that get to me. I just enjoyed the episode for what it is, and I really did enjoy it. What about you guys, Tom and Kimber?
I think we had like one complaint, which we'll get to during the shame section. We'll leave it at for that. But other than that, I thought it was a strong episode.
It wasn't my favorite of the season. I think this has been an excellent season, and it was a good episode. For me, we predicted damn near everything that was going to happen, Tom and I, last week on the show. So there was a lack of surprise. I feel like it was just playing out how we were describing it playing out, and that there wasn't too much more to it than that. I'm the opposite of Morgan. I'm a fire girl. Give me the dragons and stuff. The White Walkers are not my favorite part of the show. I appreciate the politics and the dragons. So I liked the Spoils of War episode quite a bit more than this. But I was glad that we got to watch it with Morgan, because he is a big fan of like the Night's King and stuff. I think that was the best way to watch this episode. And it was good. It just wasn't my favorite this season.
Yeah, like Morgan, I'm a huge fan of the Night King, and like I'm not the White Walkers. Well, not the Whites as much, but like I really do like the White Walkers. Even though they're very stern and stuff, you kind of see some like not emotion, but just the way they react. I like how they react to situations. So I like the Night King. I think he's a badass, and we're gonna get to that a little bit later. But so let's get into the episode, I guess. We start out with we see our snow patrol walking north of the wall, beyond the wall, and I know some people are saying like, where did all these other guys come from? But if you do look out when the last episode ended, like you had the first 7 or wherever it was, right, walking in the front, but behind them they had a few wildlings coming out as well. So that's where those other people came out from. So they're continuing their march north of Eastwatch, and Tormund and Jon talk about Mance Rayder, and you kind of hear Tormund take a different stance, saying like, how many people of ours died because Mance was stubborn and didn't bend the knee. So I kind of found this kind of odd because Tormund's such an adamant supporter, but I guess it's just to tell John, like, maybe you do need some help eventually, and you should probably bend the knee to Danny. Then we also have the scene with the Brotherhood talking. Oh, this is the scene with John talking to Tormund alone. But then we have the scene with the Brotherhood talking to Gendry, and Gendry's still, holding that grudge. He's like, you guys sold me. She tied me up. She stripped me naked. And then she's like, was she naked? And like, Han's like, I wouldn't complain if that was happening to me. Like, it doesn't sound like anything bad happened to you. And then they kind of reconcile in a way. They share a drink and stuff. But it was kind of a funny moment at the same time, and it was nice to see. But we don't know if Gendry will still hold a grudge after this. We'll talk about what happens to him a little later, but eventually, I guess we'll see what happens. I think it kind of squashed the beef there, but I'm not sure. We'll see what happens. And the final scene before we cut to another spot was John stopping and talking to Jorah about his father, saying, your father, I served your father. He was a great man, and he died, but he was avenged. And John offers Longclaw back to Jorah, but he says, I done so much disrespect the name of my family, so I don't deserve this. This belongs to you now. So it was a nice touching moment. It could have happened earlier because John's, I heard people saying John's giving up his only weapon, but he might have had some dragon glass with him too. So who knows? But I thought it was a nice moment to see, and we thought that was going to happen as well. So it was nice to see. What did you guys think of the first scene north of the wall before we switch places?
Real quick, there was a request in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Gendry? That's done. I'll let you go first.
I was a huge fan of the banter in this episode.
Yes.
I thought they had a great chance to have characters that we haven't really had interacting with each other have some conversations that needed to be had and that you would want them to have. I'm a big fan of Tormund and the Hound, which we'll get to, but I liked this Jorah and Jon scene because it felt really appropriate for both of those characters. That is exactly, we wanted them to have this discussion about Longclaw. It was like an elephant sword in the room, and it played out how I would think these characters would react. You want Jon to offer it to Jorah, but you also want Jorah to turn it down because it's the right thing for Jon to have the sword. He was given the sword by Lord Commander Mormont. Jorah made mistakes and got disowned by his family. It's in the right place, and Jorah knows that, but I did really enjoy seeing him take out the sword and take a good last look at it. Obviously, he has a lot of respect for the sword. He just knows that it doesn't belong with him anymore.
Before I get to Morgan and his thoughts, Kimber, did you think that was his death sentence when he looked at the sword and says, no, it doesn't belong to me anymore? You take it? Did you think that was set, pretty much put the nail in the coffin for him?
I think the nail in the coffin for him was last week with seeing Danny again and kind of resolving his plot lines. I do think he's going down and that it will be soon. But yeah, it's like the icing on the nail in the coffin.
Hey, Dub, what's up? So your thoughts, Morgan, about north of the wall at the moment?
Yeah, I mean,
so far?
We were, like Kimber just said, we were saying, these sort of pairings that you saw talking to each other, whether it was Tormund and the Hound or Jon and Jorah, it's pairings that you didn't necessarily knew you wanted to see before you actually saw them, and then you're thinking, oh, this is great. I love everything that's going on right now. People know how much I love Jorah Mormont. So to see him understand, no, Longclaw, it belongs to you now. It was given to you. I gave up my right to that. That struck a chord with me, being a Jorah guy. And of course, everybody knows that Tormund is the best. At least, for me.
Except Brienne.
Which, still.
Which they address.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tormund got me really in the heart this episode, which I'm sure we'll get onto. But yeah, I love the stuff north of the wall.
Yeah, I'm glad that Kimber brought that up and you supported it. I really did enjoy the banter between all the characters. It really gets you kind of attached to if you weren't already, you might get a little attachment to the character now with seeing how personable they are and the little interactions they had, and that kind of makes the dagger in the heart a little bit more hurtful, I guess, or stinging when and if they do die, So it was nice to see, and I enjoyed that. But now we go to Morgan's home. We go to the north, right? So Morgan is the king in the north, and we have Arya and Sansa. So here, Arya's reminiscing about shooting the bow and arrow that Bran left out when he was training with Sir Roderick, and she heard a clapping after she finally hit the target, the bullseye, and it was Ned, cheering her on, saying it kind of meant to her like we aren't who we were born into, kind of thing. Like just because I'm a girl doesn't mean I can't become a knight or do something like that involves battle or fighting. Like I didn't have to be a lady like you, Sansa. I got to choose my own path, and Ned always saw that kind of thing. And Arya then confronts Sansa about the letter she found in Littlefinger's chambers, and Arya says, you betrayed the family because you kind of sided with the Lannisters and you trusted them. And Sansa retorted saying, you know what, you didn't help father when he was in trouble, and also we have this castle because of me. We wouldn't have Winterfell. So how do you feel about the politics that are going on in your home, Morgan?
Yeah, I mean, I'm wearing my Littlefinger Mockingbird right now. He's playing both, but I mean, there's things that may suggest there's weird theories going around that Arya's already killed Littlefinger, and it's all weird. I don't necessarily look too far into that. It's strange to me that Arya and Sansa are actually having this sort of very intense arguing with each other. But I don't know, because I really don't. It's very weird up in Winterfell right now. Everybody seems to be supporting everybody else. There's no sort of... I mean, we think there is stability back in the north, but there isn't, which is sad. But that's just because Jon's off. But yeah, I think there's more is in the right more than Arya, to be honest. I think Arya's kind of acting a bit rashly. But yeah, I mean, in terms of who will end up sort of ruling over the north, I'm Team Sansa.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I think about the whole northern politics right now.
I know Tom had a strong opinion about this last week, saying that it's just a ploy that they're playing Littlefinger. Do you still feel the same way, Tom, or is it changing a little bit after what you saw this past week?
I do, especially because Arya gave Sansa the dagger, and I think I mean I'm kind of jumping the gun. So if we want to save this for that scene with the faces later, but I do want to reflect back on, because before when we were talking about them walking, I love the banter. Because when we walked in Philadelphia, do you remember how often we would break off and then go and talk to other people?
Right.
Felt just like that. Like you're doing a long walk, you're going to go and talk to as many people as possible. So I really like that.
Yeah, that's a very good point. That's a very good parallel. I like that. That's really cool.
I think Arya and Sansa are still playing a Littlefinger. What do you think?
First of all, I want to mention that you owe us a Littlefinger impression, so don't think I forgot. And secondly, I want to say that this is not my favorite again. I had problems with Arya last season, and then I thought they were doing really great with her again, and now they're kind of slacking ass again. I don't know what they're doing with Littlefinger. I don't know. It's kind of messy for me. Like, it's hard to, like...
He's out of his element, though.
Yeah, I think that they're out of their element with this plot line right now, and I'm really hoping that they're going to do something interesting that brings it all together and makes me go, oh, okay, I see what they were doing now. But at this point, I'm kind of scratching my head as to, like, I don't know, I'm a little bored and a little confused.
But is Littlefinger, can we be absolutely sure that Littlefinger isn't actually, the usual one step ahead he always is? Because there's been times in the past where you've thought, oh, he's going off doing nothing, and then he comes back.
Yeah, they have Bran.
And I think
they do have Bran, that's true.
His plot line recently is about him kind of unraveling, so I think that he is.
Yeah,
unraveling.
I mean, the moment he told Sansa what he's actually after, we were like, okay, Littlefinger, you're screwing up. Like, so this is not like a surprise.
They want the impression, Morgan.
They want the impression now?
We'll do it when we get to the Littlefinger scene, so we can have him do the So he'll give him time to prepare what he wants to say instead of putting him on the spot. So remember, when we cut to the little finger scene between him and Sansa, we're gonna expect an impression from you, okay? So we'll be getting back to the north. We'll go back beyond the wall again and talk about some more banter. I think this is everyone's probably one of the favorite banters. And I'm probably gonna let Kimber take over this part because she's been shipping Tormund and Brienne since the beginning. So talk about this scene, Kimber. We have Hound talking to Tormund about Lady Brienne.
This is one of my favorite scenes of the entire season and possibly the entire show because I was wanting this conversation so badly. I was wanting him to be like, oh, I think I even mentioned it last week. Yeah. Like, oh, Brienne beat me up, and he's just like would swoon if he heard this information. And while we didn't necessarily get that, this was fantastic to watch. I like how like Tormund, it was like getting a little homoerotic in a pleasant way for me. Like
even before that with Gendry.
Yeah, because he said the comment. Tormund said the comment about they have to make do because there's no like women around, and then he literally says like dick. I like it in this episode. It seems like he's a little flirtatious with the Hound, and the Hound is very uncomfortable. We've been quoting since we watched the episode the Gingers stuff, beautiful, kissed by fire like you, just really fun to watch, super like memorable, and I think everyone pretty much got a kick out of this. We all want to see him have another scene with Brienne, and yeah, it was just excellent. It was fun. It was good, like comedic relief, you know.
Yeah, I really did. I think that was a great scene between those two, and just seeing even the facial acting that Tormund, the way he reacts to what the Hound says is so like cute. I don't want to say the word cute. It was great. Like this is so adorable how he acted. You know, like I loved it. And he's like, "Oh, you do know her?" Like he was like so excited. It was so like such a great moment. I loved it. And what about you guys? You had any thoughts about that scene?
Oh wait, I have to say also that I loved that he was like, "There's a girl waiting back home for me, a beauty." And a beauty, you know, it was cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just like the fact that Tormund's now admiring yet another tall, powerful figure, because that's just what Tormund's all about, clearly. And obviously, Brienne and the Hound, at least when they're talking, don't want anything to do with him.
The dog.
But, yeah, Tormund's just like you said, Kal, the huge smile of just adoration that he gives to the Hound after they finish speaking. He's just like, yeah, I like you. He's great.
Tom, any thoughts on that scene?
I mean, there's not much to say that hasn't been said already. It's just this is like the best part of the show is just these characters coming together.
We liked the oh, they told me you were mean. That whole thing. Yeah. That was really good too.
Because we were talking about the Hound seeing Brienne and Arya, but I didn't even think about like how Tormund reacts to the Hound and Brienne knowing each other, and he was just excited. Like I almost wish the Hound was like, "Yeah, she left me to die," and he would have been like, lucky.
Yeah, like even better, just the reaction that the Hound gives, and he's like, "You're with Brienne fucking Tarth." Like, oh
like,
god.
Well, not with her yet. But I see the way she looks at me.
How's a mad bastard like you stayed alive this long?
As a mad fucker.
Yeah, mad fucker.
And I mean, just to see that the Hound isn't so angry anymore, because season 1 Hound would not have put up with this. Right. Like he would have told him to shut up once and then punched him in the mouth. But like, it's just like this union, and it's just like what guys talk about. You know what I mean? It just felt real. Even like how old it is, it feels real.
Yeah, it was a great scene. The next actual dialogue happened between Jon and Beric, where I'm hearing an echo. I
don't even know how I did that. Sorry, I muted you by accident. I'm trying to turn it off.
I got it.
Cool.
Jon, Beric tells Jon that they both serve the Lord of Light, but Jon disagrees. And I lost my place again now. Beric proclaims that death is the enemy. So it was pretty like, I guess it was foreshadowing to, like, what's going to happen soon, thinking, they say everyone dies eventually. But you just fight and you serve the realm. You might die, but you're going to try protecting the other people so they can live. And that's when John says, like, we are the shields that guard the realms of men. So that was quite a touching scene as well between them. But Barrick, I don't know the actor who plays him, but he's a fantastic actor. And I give props to him. Any thoughts on this scene for you guys?
Anyone?
No.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Barrick was going down this episode. We
especially
talked about
after
that last week, but I liked this part. Barrick was looking kind of sexy to me, which I did mention when we were watching the episode. I said he's sexier than Jorah.
Uh-oh.
But yeah, I liked it. All these conversations were just really good, and they were the shining star of the episode to me was the dialogue, because again, we predicted damn near every main plot point in this episode last week. It was just, I was delighted to just hear what these people had to say to each other, because who knows how long they're all going to be on a team together. Of course, like, we did have a loss on the team, a major one, and a bunch of white fodder just to be destroyed. But it's just nice to see them interact while they are together, because who knows how long that's going to be, and while they're alive,
No, I completely agree.
So from there, we go to back to Dragonstone, and we see the scene with Dany and Tyrion that Tom did a great job again in the promo video that you saw prior to the starting. Dany and Tyrion discussing heroes, and they just go off and do rash things, and love interest as well, because Tyrion believes that Jon is in love with Dany. And then they kind of discuss their strategy for meeting with Cersei, and how do you think Cersei's gonna lay a trap? Do you think we should lay a trap? And then she said, Jamie assured me that there won't be any traps being laid, but who knows? Can you trust each other? Tyrion's like also saying how can she be different from previous Targaryens that we've had, and Tyrion is also more concerned with Dany's legacy rather than what Dany's concerned with is a short term just getting the throne. So that was quite a scene to see what their goals are and how they differed. So any thoughts on that scene from you guys?
Yeah, this was a bit of foreshadowing for me. Tyrion going on about legacy, and then later on you get, Dany telling Jon that she can't have children, and it's all bit of legacy foreshadowing there.
Jorah told Jon to keep it safe for his children, the sword.
Mm-hmm.
So they did talk a lot about legacy. But I mean, it makes sense, especially when this whole thing is about to come to an end. The audience was wondering, so what happens after?
Right.
So it's a cool way to do that.
I also like to point out that I love the line from Tyrion where it's just like talking about Jon, and he just says, I suppose he looks at you longingly because he wants a good military alliance. Delivered perfectly by Peter Dinklage, as always. Well done, guy.
So he's just saying, like, everything that Tyrion says, all the conversations Tyrion has are usually great. So, and I agree with that. He has great conversations with everybody. From there, we go back north beyond the wall again, and we see the Hound sees the mountain that we saw from the previous vision with Leaf and all the forest children creating the Night King. And it's the arrowhead-shaped mountain. And then they see a bear in the distance, and the guy runs back, and he gets kind of mauled. So they form like a strategic circle covering each other's backs. Unfortunately, all the red shirts, as people have been calling them, alluding to Star Trek, the bet that they get like bitten and taken out. So those are the expendables we have. Barrick and Thoros, I think, both light their swords on fire, and then Barrick actually lights the polar bear on fire, or just regular bear. I don't know what you want to call it. And it kind of looks at the Hound, and the Hound gets frozen again, because he's scared of fire. So he can't really do much about that. And that cost Thoros. Thoros gets gravely injured, and he falls to the ground. And I think I think Jorah comes in and puts the dragon glass dagger, or just a regular dagger, into the back of the head of the bear. The bear then you don't see the bear for a little while. I'm assuming it ran away, because when they look at the tracks again, it's not there. I mean, they look at the spot where it died, it's not there anymore. But Thoros is gravely injured, and Barrick uses the fire from his sword to cauterize the wound. I know. I think I was talking to Kimber about this. She really did enjoy the bear scene, so I'll start off with her. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought this was really cool. One of my favorite shots of the episode was both Thoros and Beric lighting up their swords together. We got to see the kind of hero shot of Beric doing it in the trailer for the whole season, but it was a nice surprise to see both of them doing it. It was one of the cool like shots, individual shots that they gave us in Game of Thrones history. And those were massively useful weapons for them, just flaming swords. Unfortunately, like, it isn't the best to have around the Hound, and it definitely cost them greatly because that's his weakness in this episode, or in this scene in particular, because he was not much help with a flaming zombie bear coming at him. But I enjoyed watching this. Again, this is something that we didn't see coming, so it was nice to have the fun little bits that I wasn't expecting.
What are you, Tom?
Yeah.
Or Morgan, whoever wants to go first. Whoever wants to go first.
I'll go. Look, I know now that they're dragon glass apparently, but at the time, I was like, why does Jorah have these shitty daggers? Like, you see Gendry with his, like, appropriately, with a big war hammer, and, like, Jorah's just got this, he's like, I'll get him. I'll get him. So, I mean, it's cool to figure out later that they were dragon glass, and that's why they were so effective, but I thought he was underprepared when I was watching it. Other than that, I thought it looked good for putting their budget fully. I think this is the full time. Oh, I guess that was a live bear, though, they used in, like, Bear and the Maiden Fair and stuff. But, like, the CG looked really good. I wish it was, like, I could see a little bit more, like, decomposition. That was, like, my only thing. But I thought it was a good scene. I liked it.
Yeah, you know, this is the first major bit of action we get in the episode. And I thought it was just, like, directed really well. It really felt very, very chaotic, which is obviously what it was. Another sort of great humanizing moment for the Hound, just frozen solid when he sees any sort of fire. I like that because I like that about the Hound, that he does have this one major fear that just sort of stops him from being anywhere near as effective as he should be, which does, you know, sadly result in the massive injury that Thoros suffers. And then you see, you know, nice moments between Beric and Thoros, and Beric trying to save the guy who's saved him so many times. And, you know, that's a nice little switch around. Yeah, great character moments for Beric and Thoros as well, I think, in that. But yeah, I just thought it was really, really well filmed.
I agree.
Yeah.
I concur, good sir. I concur, good sir. Sorry.
So we go back to Winterfell, and this is a moment we're waiting for Morgan's sake. But before we get into Morgan's impression, we will have Sansa meeting with Littlefinger, and they're talking about the letter. And Sansa becomes worried that she's going to lose the support of the Northern Lords. And Baelish makes a quite strange suggestion, saying that you should get Lady Brienne to protect you from Sansa because she promised to protect both Stark children. So I wonder what happens when they're pit against each other. But so if you want to, I'll start with Kimber and move left to right again on my screen, and then we'll get to Morgan's impression. But so Kimber, what do you think of this scene?
I feel the same about the scene as I felt about the other Winterfell, Arya, Sansa stuff. It's not my favorite thing that's going on in the show right now. I don't have too much. Like, I want to see what they're doing with it. I don't feel too strongly about it at the moment.
Tom?
It was an odd pairing for this episode to have the Arya Sansa. I mean, I guess it's necessary just because we don't have much left. And I'm sure it's going to wrap up next episode, so they had to, like, put all that into motion. But it felt kind of jarring when it was, like, the middle of the North and Dany stuff, and then all of a sudden we're back doing Sansa stuff. I don't know. I mean, if I saw it probably by itself, like a little vignette, I probably would have really liked it, or like a big part of one episode. But I thought it was kind of, I mean, especially for what I think it is, like a whole big ploy. Like, I'll get to it now since it's the Littlefinger scene. Oh wait, no, this isn't. I'm jumping the gun again. I'm just so excited.
Not the dagger scene yet.
Me?
Yeah.
Me? Right, first of all, I don't know what you want me to say in my Littlefinger impression, so I can't really.
You could say chaos isn't a pit, chaos is a ladder.
Do you want me to do it now or after I give some thought?
You can give your first. You can talk about what you felt about the episode. I mean the scene. I mean,
in your Littlefinger impression.
No, I'm not doing it all in my Littlefinger impression. I'm not
no,
doing
yeah, that's too much. We'll just have you say that one phrase once you're done with your.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's interesting because you think it's all a ploy with
Yeah, I do.
Littlefinger, and I'm just like, I just really want Littlefinger to win again.
He's not.
I know he's not gonna. I'm very aware that he's going to die. And
Next episode.
Probably
Calling
next
it now.
episode, and I will cry heavy tears, like I nearly did at one point this episode. But yeah, he sort of gives the suggestion that some death happens in Winterfell.
Oh yeah.
Which is a Littlefinger move. But again, if you think that's all a ploy, then it's a weird argument.
I'm just saying they have Bran. I think Shady's gonna go down.
I mean, Bran does know everything. To be fair,
yeah, I guess.
But maybe he can't intervene. That's the thing. He could watch, but he can't intervene. So maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
Maybe.
He
All right,
can't. But I mean, if you're familiar with the Watcher for Marvel Comics, he helps all the time in some weird side way.
Speaking of Bran, what was that thing that he said
I don't like saying chaos is a ladder in Littlefinger.
Okay, say whatever you want to say. Say whatever you want to say then. In your Littlefinger.
The close up.
They're closing their eyes now.
I imagine.
You're imagining I'm Aidan Gillen.
Yes, go ahead.
It's weird. It's uncanny.
It is weird. Fight every battle, everywhere, always, in your mind. What's the rest of it?
I don't know, Littlefinger.
What's the rest of it? Wait a minute. I should be prepared. I should be more prepared for this. What's the rest of it?
It's falling apart.
Everyone is your enemy, and everyone's your friend. I'll just leave it there. That's fine. Can't remember the rest of it.
Yeah,
That's very good. So back beyond the wall we go, and we have Thoros and Jorah having another scene. So another scene that we have a dialogue where they discuss the breach, and that's when there was the Greyjoy rebellion, and Jorah saying like it was brilliant to see you jump through the wall with the sword on fire, and the Iron Island men thought you were a god. He's like, I don't even remember that. I was drunk. So that was kind of funny to see the humor that he's dying, but he still has the humor in it. And then they stumble upon a group of White Walker. Well, one White Walker with a bunch of whites, and they're walking. They're that's what they do. White Walkers walk, and they get ambushed. And Jon ends up killing the White Walker with Longclaw, and we learn something new where a bunch of them die because the White Walker died. And we'll get the answer a little bit later, but one white survives, and they manage to catch that white. And while that's happening, it screams in terror, which alerts the rest of the group, and they're like, "Oh crap, we got to run!" So they try to start running with the group of people they have, but they send Gendry up ahead. So Gendry runs up ahead and gets to Eastwatch, and I think the Hound takes away his hammer, or Tormund, one of them take away his hammer. But in the meantime, the rest of the group is surrounded by the huge army of the Night King. So that was pretty crazy to see. But they do still have the white in custody. So that was pretty cool. What did you guys think of that whole scene with the capture and Gendry running off and then them being surrounded?
I liked the initial trap stuff. I thought that was kind of smart to use fire to lure them. I didn't like. It was kind of convenient that once, like, I think the concept of, okay, if you turn them, then yes, they are linked to you like vampires. But it was kind of convenient that he killed one and everything but one died. I think if like 5 were left and then they marked the other 4 and then captured one, it would have been a lot more effective. It just felt a little too easy. And we're starting to get into the fodder territory that we're starting to complain about.
Yeah.
It's
just, for me, like, simply, why couldn't it have been wildlings that we've like recognized their face from the show before? These were like seemed like people we've never seen and have no emotional investment in, and are only there so that the whites get to kill something, so it seems more realistic.
Hell, someone from the Wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of people.
That's a good point. I didn't really think about that it was kind of convenient that one did stay alive when the rest of them went down. But I know you were talking about that whole story with Thoros and the fact that his drunken exploits on Pike. And we were talking about that yesterday, I think, about how like all these famous stories that you know would have been brought around word of mouth around Westeros, that they're actually not as impressive as the stories would have you believe. And that was kind of funny because Jorah's like, you were the bravest man I ever saw. All the Ironborn said you look like a god, and Thoros is just like, nah, I was just hammered.
It's not the bravest, wonderful. Just the drunkest.
Not the bravest, just the drunkest. And it's wonderful.
Also, just it's like that's not the only instance where we've seen like a story is just like a glorification. The Stark at the Tower of Joy, we find out wasn't that this big noble sword fight, like backstabbing. Like it's but that's history.
History is like as the bards write it in this world, you know.
As the songs tell it.
Mm-hmm.
So Davos finds Gendry at the gate of the Eastwatch wall, and Thoros ends up succumbing to his wounds, and Jon orders the body to be burned, and the Night King shows up. So the Night King is there with all his like generals, I guess you want to call them, and they also wonder, like, you know, like Tom was saying, why did they just crumble when one White Walker died? And they think of the Sire thing, you know, whoever created them, the creator dies, all the whites that have been created from that creator also die. So the Sire bond that they have. So then Barrack's like, we got to kill this guy right here. So they're saying, you know, the Night King is the main target of this whole thing. From there, we go back to Winterfell, and we have this scene between Sansa and Brienne, where Sansa gets a letter from King's Landing and saying that we request your presence. And she sends Brienne instead, saying, I don't want to go. You should go instead. You're my voice there. So she's kind of sending away her only bodyguard in a way. And I don't know. What do you guys think about it? We're still not up to that scene yet, but what do you think about this, for this scene, at least?
That letter's fake.
I wanted to say real quick that this was a sad death on the show for me, with Thoros to just wake up and he's obviously been dead for a while and he's frozen. It was sad. Like, he got no like on-screen death scene where he got to say like some last words and like have a moment for him. They just woke up and he was dead, and it's time to burn him.
Yeah.
So that was abrupt and sad, and it showed that they didn't have time to like have a melodramatic death scene at this moment. You know, the stakes are too high. Do you have something to say about the next scene?
This scene, I want to say with Thoros, he said anything's better than freezing to death in a cell.
Yep.
And now he's freezing to death with bear wounds. So you tell me which one's better.
Yeah. It's not great. Sorry, Thoros.
Yeah. But I do agree with Tom that this letter is probably fake. Because why else would the King's Landing send a letter? Unless this is ahead in time, but they're supposed to all meet, you know, after the fact that they've come back and captured the White. That could be it, but I don't think so. It's probably a fake letter sent by...
or this is Cersei's trap, but it's not working out the way she wanted it.
Oh, yeah, that could be it, too. So we go back to Dragonstone for the last scene in Dragonstone where Dany's like, I'm going to go. They need my help. So obviously she got the Raven from Eastwatch, and she's like, I'm leaving. I have to go save them. They need my help. And Tyrion's like, no, don't go. You know, there's sometimes the best thing to do is nothing. But she's like, no, he needs my help. And like she flies off with all 3 dragons. So that was a cool scene to see. I remember Tom saying last week how he liked seeing the dragons run, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago. Thought that was the cool CGI. So this was, you got to see all 3 of them run off the mountain or cliff, I guess. And that was pretty cool to see. Did she make the smart move? I guess we'll see in a little bit. We go back to Beyond the Wall, and we have the Hound taking part and throwing rocks at the Whites because he's bored, I guess. And it bounces off one White's head. He's like, all right, let me throw another one. And this time he doesn't reach. And then they see that the lake has frozen back over. And then the one White starts to cross. That leads to many Whites starting to cross. And that starts the fight, the battle above Eastwatch, I guess you want to call it. I don't know what you want to call it, but that's what happens. And then we have our little Deus Ex Machina where, or Deus Ex Machina, where Dany comes and saves them with the dragon and starts burning all the whites that she sees there. And whoops, sorry. And then from there we go to the Night King grabbing a spear. And as soon as I saw him get up, like the guy, his general grab a spear, I'm like, oh, it's gonna happen now. It's gonna happen now. The general hands to the Night King. The Night King takes aim and just chucks it and hits Viserion. And we see a cool like death where like it hits, the fire comes out of the dragon as well as blood, and Viserion just crumbles to the ground, comes crashing, that you saw in the preview that Tom made. And it was just sad to see. Like, I know a lot of people are saying like, oh, it's I'll get back to that. That it's just a lot of people are more connected to the creatures on the show than they are to some characters. So seeing Viserion go down like that was really heartbreaking for some people. So before we get on to the next few scenes, of what happens there, how do you guys feel about Dany showing up and all that, leaving Dragonstone to show up and help out and all that?
Yeah.
I mean, as predicted, you know, I liked her white outfit. I'm going to shout that out at the moment. I thought she looked awesome, and I think the memes are funny, saying that it's Ghost that her jacket is made out of.
Oh, man.
This scene was cool, but it was nothing surprising to at least Tom and I. We know the show has been going this direction for a while, so it's done now.
Especially with the promos they did in the beginning of the season, it doesn't help. Like, I feel like that would have been that might not have even been a thought if we had never seen those.
Well, that was a lot of those were fan made too. The stuff that was on the internet. Yeah.
Necessarily into the whole predicting, or even good at predicting things like everyone else is. But even this Dany coming in to save the day made sense to me. It was going to happen. We were talking about that white outfit before. She's worn black all season pretty much. It's like when she's been like stone cold and heartless and just wants what she wants. And now when she goes changes to that more sort of traditionally heroic.
I also think that like she did make the right decision, because as much as I love Tyrion, he has kind of kept advising her to not get involved. And at this point, she's involved. She wants Jon as an ally. She seems interested in Jon. Of course, she's going to go try to save him. And really, that's the only way that he was going to be able to get out of this situation realistically. So, not surprised, but pleased to watch it.
Very pleased to watch it. It was seriously, you sat there watching it wide-eyed and just in like, yes, this is great. We also joked a bit about. Do you think she went Jorah as well, just a bit to save Jorah?
Probably.
It's like, I'd like to think so. Well, maybe she didn't. Maybe it's just all on Jon now.
I think it was probably more to save Jon, but then she's like, oh wait, Jorah's here too, so that's like a 2-for-1 now. So it's great.
It's a twofer.
Yeah, twofer.
I did want to say that the dragons all looked very similar in color to me this episode. Me and Eric were talking about it. That dragon looked green to me. It didn't look like Viserion. Viserion is cream and gold, and he didn't look anything.
Yeah, I didn't know which one was dying because of. I knew it wasn't Drogon, but I didn't know which one was dying between Rhaegal and Viserion because of the same color. Yes, you're right about that.
Yeah, we predicted Viserion. It makes the most sense in the storytelling element because obviously Rhaegar would be the most logical dragon for Jon to mount because it's named after his father. But yeah, to me, that is a complaint that I have, that the dragons were all pretty dark in color, and it was hard to tell which one it was. And that kind of sucks because you're like, I thought we were losing Rhaegal. He looked like a green dragon to me. And then Viserion, you're just kind of like, oh, I mean, I guess like they're not they're the two lesser dragons. Obviously, Drogon is the star, but it still sucks. Like, you want to be able to tell which one it is. You know, you can tell which direwolf it is. This is a dragon.
So the Night King starts charging again and takes another spear and throws it at Drogon. Remember, Drogon took off because Jon's like, go, go. And already the rest of the guys are on there along with the captured white. Jon's defending them from the other charging whites. Night King throws another spear. It causes Drogon, Dany evades it, but knocks Jorah off. But Jorah's hanging on by a thread. I think the Hound pulls him back up, and then they fly away, leaving Jon behind. Jon gets tackled into the water by a White Walker. A few scenes later, not a few scenes later, but a little bit later, we see him reemerge from the water, and the Whites see him walking. They turn and start to attack him again, but he's saved by good old Uncle Benjen. Uncle Benjen comes back, sacrifices himself by putting Jon on the horse and get out of here, go back, I'll take care of them. And he has his little last stand. We don't know if he's dead, but most likely he's probably dead. We see Dany waiting for Jon at the Eastwatch wall and saying, and then Jorah's like, we got to go back. We got to go. And she goes, just give him a few more minutes. And then he doesn't come. So as soon as they turn around, then you hear the one horn being blown. My one question was like, I guess there's still Night's Watch people there, because they did have some people that were sent, because I remember Janos Slint was supposed to go and watch Eastwatch, I think. So they probably still have Night Watch people there along with the wildlings. So I think they just reinforced them with putting more men there by adding wildlings, but Night's Watch people are still there because they would know the code for one horn, two horn. I'm sure wildlings probably know that code by now as well, but I think that's what the horn thing was. But that horn was for Jon riding back to the wall. So what do you guys think of that? Benjen coming back and saving him and all that up to where we just got to.
Actually, interesting, because Tom did predict that this was going to happen during the episode.
We were literally watching it. He just went.
It was interesting. It feels a little, again, Deus Ex Machina, this character that really only comes back to save people at this point, and now he's, I'm sure, gone. But they needed something, and it got the job done. I was really hoping that Jon was going to get left behind, and that the dragons were going to fly away with Dany, and that Rhaegal was going to come down and get Jon, because they have like a psychic link with Targaryens, specifically Dany, and Dany wanted to help Jon, so I was hoping like he would get those vibes and like land and have Jon mount the dragon alone. I think that would be really cool. And then they could have just skipped the whole. I guess they were trying to like make it seem like higher stakes, but I would have preferred that route myself.
I do want to say about Dany, waiting for looking out beyond the wall, for Jon. It's really sort of like pretty emotional stuff. Like, she's been quite, like I said before, she's been quite cool and cold this entire season, really. But this is like her, just like, she clearly now cares about Jon. And, so applause on Emilia Clarke's part, because I thought she played that well. I know some people, are a bit iffy towards Emilia Clarke. Well, not me either. But, I just think that was really good. You got the whole typical Jorah, come on now, it's time to go, we have to go. And she's like, seriously, just wait a minute. And then of course he comes back.
Of course Jorah wants to get out of there.
Yeah.
Jorah wants her for himself. He always has done. That's great.
I liked it because it kind of reminded me of like how the wife of a sailor waited for
on the widow's walk on the top of a house.
Exactly.
So
that was really cool.
One thing I forgot to mention was that we saw Tormund and Beric part ways with the Hound. So the Hound gets on the boat, and Tormund and Beric stay back. So that's where they part ways. So we're assuming the Hound's going to go down to King's Landing, which could set up something we've been waiting for a while now. So hopefully we'll see that. If not next episode, next season. I'm sure next season we'll definitely see it. But now we're going to get to the part that Tom has been waiting for. We go back to Winterfell, and we have Sansa snooping around, and she finds Arya's bag of faces. And then Arya kind of challenges her to the game of faces, where she's like, I'll ask you a question, you try to lie to me, and I'll try to tell you if you're lying. Try to make it sound like a truth. And that's when you have the whole dagger scene, and she gives her the dagger because she pulls out the dagger menacingly, but then she flips it and gives it to Sansa. So I know you've been waiting all episode to talk about this, Tom. So go ahead and kick us off with that.
This scene, I think, is genuine. I think Sansa was snooping around Arya's room. I think she did find the faces. I thought Arya threw the Walder Frey face on the ground at the murder of the Freys. But I guess she went back and got it.
It could be like one of those things where it just magically appears in your bag, like they have in Percy Jackson. But I don't know.
Yeah, I like it. But I think this is genuine, and I think this was like, look, kind of like, hey, this is something I can do. Obviously, like, the problem isn't us. The problem is somebody else. And guess what? I would make a pretty good Littlefinger if only you provide the face. So I think she's kind of pushing Sansa into trying to kill Littlefinger. Obviously, gets like an upper hand on Sansa, Arya will step in.
Yeah.
But I think she's going to be like, you need to kill someone. And Sansa watching Ramsay die, she didn't put him to the, like...
You need to get,
you know what I mean?
You need to get your hands dirty.
Yeah.
Sansa's going to kill Littlefinger, and it makes me cry. Fits perfectly in terms of story. I expect it to be a great scene, as most Game of Thrones death scenes are. But yeah, it's not one I'm looking forward to.
Any thoughts on that scene?
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's just leaving a bag of faces around.
Who
to
does
run
that?
into. I see Eric in the chat, I believe, mentioned that one of the faces looked like Edmure to him. I did not see that myself, but that's an interesting thought.
One of them could be Stannis.
Yes.
I think Eric would wear Stannis' face.
Yeah. We get to our final scene now that I guess is on the ocean coming back to Dragonstone, I guess, or heading towards directly to King's Landing, possibly. Where John wakes up to find Dany watching over him and apologizes to her for the loss of her child, as Dany would put it. And Dany pledges her word because she's like, now I saw what we're fighting, and I pledged to fight alongside you against the Night King and his army. And then John proclaims, like, you're not Dany, because he calls her Dany, and he goes, the last person to call me Dany was my brother, and he didn't end up too well for him, and I don't really like that name. So John proclaims Dany as his queen and like figuratively bends the knee because obviously he can't get up. But she also does notice his wounds the first time when she walks in on him, and then now you also see his wounds too. So the whole thing about the scars, that could be something. I see Tom in the background.
Yeah, Tom called that 4 episodes ago. You predicted that right when Dany and John first met. So again, great success with predicting things on this.
Where
episode.
was this during the Arya Bladder stuff?
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe they're like, we'll give them things later down the line, but we won't give them things this early, so they'll think they're wrong for everything else. Maybe that's what it was. Still, the last scene we have beyond the wall is we have the Whites pulling something out of the water with giant chains, and it's just a huge assembly line of holding a long chain, and then they end up dragging Viserion out. You see the Night King go over, kneel down, and put his hand on it, and then you see the last scene, Viserion opening its eye and becoming what I think is a white dragon, or some people call it a zombie dragon, but I think it's a white dragon, not an ice dragon, because if any of you have read it, I'm not sure if you read it, but the actual book by The Ice Dragon by George R.R. Martin, they have different properties than a white would have, so I think this is a white dragon, not an ice dragon, so that's important to note, I think. Yeah. So that's pretty much it for the episode. But before we do that, we obviously had to get to our segments. So I'm going to start out with Morgan, but let me just bring up the picture first. Morgan, who is your champion of the episode? Who do you nominate as your champion?
My champion is actually maybe someone would put as their shame bell. My champion is actually the Hound for this episode. Because, number one, he saved Tormund from certain death. And that's important to me. Number two, he was the first one to capture and jump on that white, which was the whole purpose of them going beyond the wall anyway. And number three, for getting bored and throwing stones at people. Because I thought that was funny.
That's a point against him, my book.
It is a point against him, but I just thought it was funny. Well done, Sando.
All right, Tom, I'm going to you. Who is your champion of the episode?
I mean, this one's obviously hard to pick because there's like a lot of people, but I think we're kidding around talking about, like, obviously there's some parts the writers didn't do well in this episode, I feel, but whoever wrote the dialogue, applause. Like you said it earlier, and I changed my answer. Like, they get my champion, the writers, for the dialogue.
All right.
So the dialogue is your champion.
The dialogue is my champion.
Yes.
The words.
Kimber, who is your champion?
Obviously, Daenerys deserves a nod because she did sacrifice one of her dragons to go on this mission, and it was cool to see like a bunch of this ragtag team riding a dragon away. So that was neat. But I'm also going to give an honorable mention to Tormund Giantsbane because everything that he said in this episode was memorable, hilarious, classic Tormund, and he was really shining to me.
And we almost thought we lost him.
Yes.
And I was crying at one point.
Yeah, he fought super valiantly. He always gets right in there. He always is literally at Jon's back. So, Tormund, this one's for you.
I'm gonna have to give my champion. My champion this week is the Night King. He's one of my favorite characters. I love him, and he brought the Summer Olympics to winter. The javelin throw, a great throw. We needed that. We've been saying forever. The whites are probably gonna kill a dragon and then take it over. That's the only way they can take it over. So now we have our third dragon rider because I'm pretty sure the Night King is gonna ride Viserion, and the Night King's pretty badass. So I think that was pretty cool. But remember, as always, we can't have the good without the bad. So now we're going to go to our shame bell, and I think I'll start us off. I really didn't think of who I could use for the shame bell until now. I'm probably going to have to give it to maybe Jon, I guess, because Jon kind of like doesn't do anything really well tactically. He stayed back and fell into water. But so shame on Jon because he should have probably got onto that dragon right away when Danny said, because he's pretty important. All right, Kimber, I'll go to you now.
Yeah, well, as Tom said, I was going to shame the writers for adding these unnecessary wildlings who we don't know just to die. But I'm also going to shame Arya for leaving a bag of.
Okay, wait, hold on. Shame.
Shame.
So Arya, because
she left a bag of faces lying around. Who does that? Yeah, shame, man. Clean your room.
All right, Tom.
Well, as Morgan said, it's the Hound.
Shame. Okay.
Look, we get it. You're afraid of fire. Get over it, man. How many times have you come against fire and like won out on top? Now you're getting visions from fire. Fire's your friend at this point. 2, because you had yours all dictated. 2, who just throws rocks at like? Who does that? Like, I can understand if it was one of them. If it was just one of them and Sandor's like, oh man, I wonder if I can hit him with this rock. But you're literally surrounded. No, you're like surrounded. Like, they use the same physics as World War Z. They can just climb up on top of each other. The ice isn't stopping them at all. They're just messing with them. So, no.
It says, Andy hates gingers, so thumbs down.
All right, Morgan.
Well, mine is actually, Arya's a good point, to be honest. Arya's a more legitimate answer, I think. I actually went with Gendry.
Okay, hold on. Shame on
Gendry. Because he was whinging, and he doesn't like snow.
That's it?
That's why.
Okay.
That's literally. I don't like people who whinge and don't like snow.
I don't know if you're a good judge of character.
Well, probably not.
Okay, so now I hear something. I do hear something in the distance. So, that sound means we're gonna go to our Raven from Castle Black, and that's our poll. So we're gonna go to Lady Kimber for this. So Kimber, take it away.
Give me 2 seconds. I had it.
Okay.
And of course it popped away.
And meanwhile, while we're doing that, let's get people in the chat to start line up for calls as well. So please let us know in the chat.
All right. Yep. So the poll for this week, Cal tweeted out, what's season 7's final scene going to be? And it seems like there's an overwhelmingly popular.
How many votes did we get?
And it was the wall coming down at 70% of the votes, followed by Cersei dying, or I guess it's any queen. Cersei, Dany, Sansa at 16%, a royal alliance at 9%, and other comments in the reply at 5%. Eric suggested the return of Stannis as what might happen.
Eric, seriously.
And then there's just some chat about the wall coming down being a great scene. And Skeletor at Von Crawford suggested that who says the 3 dragons were all Dany's dragons. I think somehow there's a big boss dragon somewhere that's the big surprise in season 8. So
under Winterfell?
Maybe you've been saying that forever, right? How many people do we get total?
340 votes on that
nice.
one. So
almost at 350. Thank you guys for all supporting us and getting on the poll. So we're gonna get on call soon. So I know Tom's gonna be reaching out to you guys. I'm pretty sure we have Eric, Billy, Delisha, Corey, and Raul. So while we do that, I'm going to pose a question to all of us, and we could probably bring in the callers in on this question as well. That Janine at Janine Nabeen asks, also at G9 Designs. She asked, "Do you think Theon will have a redemptive arc?" And I know we were talking about this before, and I said that we haven't seen Euron since I guess episode 3 it was or something. So we really need to see him and Yara. So I feel like Theon should probably get some vengeance against his uncle. I feel like he's been down in the dumps for a really, really long time, and he deserves a redemption arc. And I think he's going to get it. So what about you guys? What do you think?
First, I want to say that because Morgan is here, we're probably going to take one caller at a time tonight. Okay. Also, Tom doesn't have to work, so if we go a little over, it's not a huge deal. So, yeah, what do you think about Theon?
Theron.
Theron, yeah.
I'm not sure whether he will have any sort of redemption, to be honest. I think, to be honest, personally, I'm kind of done with Theon. I don't think I need to see any real more development from him. I think he's had a sufficient and pretty good character arc, but there's a chance he might be the one to kill Euron. No?
I don't think he'll kill Euron. He'll definitely help.
Yeah, I've never been the biggest fan of Theon. He was kind of like a piece of shit in the beginning of the show, and then he got tortured, and I know he was supposed to have a redemption arc, but because I thought he was an ass from the beginning and he had very few redemptive qualities, I never really bonded with Theon. I think the best part of Theon is his cool sister. So they can do a redemption arc if they want. It's not going to be something that personally hits me in the heartstrings.
Exactly.
All right, welcome, Eric. So your thoughts on the episode, and what do you think about Theon, and what do you think was going to happen in the last episode? Maybe the final scene. So.
Okay, so I thought the episode was good, but I echo a lot of what Kimber was saying. It was my least favorite episode of the season, but the season set such a high standard with all the previous episodes, especially episode 4, that for me it's understandable. So I had some issues with the episode, but it was overall fine, and I'm okay with it being my least favorite episode of the season because I think the season's been terrific. And Theon, my theory with Theon, I think he's going to find Yara, and she's going to be dead, tortured to death, unfortunately.
And I know you had a question to ask Morgan, right? So.
Oh, yes. Morgan, how you doing, buddy?
Yes. Hello.
Okay, so my question for you is, I listened, of course, to that wonderful discussion you had with Kimber a couple months ago, listing your favorite Game of Thrones characters. I enjoyed it, but there was a moment in that discussion that made me raise an eyebrow. So it's been a couple months. So my question for you, is there anything whatsoever positive you can say about Stannis Baratheon, the one true king and the king who cared? To give me something. Can you give me anything, buddy? Because you were tough on him. There's got to be something you can give me.
Stannis Baratheon was a very determined man. He was very determined. He knew what he wanted, and he would go to any length to get that. And I suppose I have to respect him for that.
I 100% love you for saying that, and I agree with that. I'm even wearing my shirt tonight. So thank you for answering my question, buddy. And I appreciate something positive.
So what do you think is your final of season 7? And then where can we find you? What have you been doing?
All right, my true thing about what I think is really going to happen at the end of season 7 is the wall coming down. if I had to really guess. But I'm expecting a very amazing episode. It's going to be very hard to top the Winds of Winter last season. I think that was the best finale to date, but it could happen. And what am I up to? I do a Game of Thrones recap. I recorded it actually earlier. Mine is The Fury. It will be out most likely tomorrow. Tom did the thumbnail. Thank you. So look out for that. You can find me on Aftermath. I'm not sure when the next one is. Some date in September. Cal, you will let me know. Yep. And you can find me calling in to OSP and hear the last night's watch next week, which has me kind of sad that it's gone so quickly. But I've had a great time.
And your Twitter is, you got to say it and emphasize it.
At MMKoch. Koch. That's KOCH 200. And you can let me know what you think. And, you know, if you love Stannis, let me know. And even if you don't love Stannis, you can let me know that as well. I like to hear from everyone.
Yes, please keep it respectful. We get on his case a lot, but we do love Eric and his passion for Stannis. So get at him, but keep it respectful at the same time. So thank you, Eric, for calling in. And I think we'll get our next caller.
Absolutely.
That was Billy. Billy's the next caller. And then Delisha. So Billy, then Delisha, you're on deck. Followed by Corey and then Raul.
Billy should have an invite.
All right, Billy, you should have an invite.
I just hope Eric's pleased with all the positivity I have to say about Stannis, because that's the only thing you're ever going to get out of me.
That was the most positive thing he said all day.
Did you congratulate him again on winning the...
Yeah, congratulations again to Eric Monroe.
Oh,
We
yeah.
didn't do it in person, to winning the space opera.
I rolled the dice for you.
Oh, welcome, Billy. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
Say hello to Morgan.
Hello, Morgan.
Are you wearing a Superman cloak?
Hello, Billy.
I am wearing my Superman cape. Just for the occasion that Morgan is here, Your Grace.
Oh, very nice of you.
We are talking about Theon. Oh, how did you feel about the episode? What did you think about Theon? What's going to happen with Theon? And then your final scene prediction for season 7 finale.
I mean, I had a lot of thoughts about the Snowside Squad, but you know, I thought this episode was all right. I mean, there was some stuff I really, really loved. Like, you guys have echoed it earlier. Tormund was perfect, and the Hound was. He did one really stupid thing I hated was what Tom said, the rock throwing. I thought that was really, really stupid. But that was on the Hound. I expected more death. And, yeah, the writing is still top-notch and all that. Theon. Just fuck that guy. I don't care about him and his eunuch self. I mean, yeah, I'm with Kimber. You guys have basically said a lot of stuff that I very much agree with, and that is he was a dick in the beginning, and yeah, the coolest thing about him is his sister.
He couldn't have any less dick.
Yeah. By the way, I have a different deer this time. I'm gonna make that game.
And what's your final scene?
It sounds like a serial killer.
This is the way I said it.
You want to play a game?
You want to play a game?
Yeah. What's your final scene going to be for season 7?
My final scene. Probably Stannis coming back to life and then getting brutally murdered by Davos. No, I had to for the Koch. That is Eric. I respect that man's love of Stannis. If there's anything that I can respect about Stannis, is that Eric and Ken Napsok's love of Stannis. No, but I really do think it is going to be the wall either coming down or a queen is probably going to die. I mean, it's the most logical answer, and it seems very obvious, but it's very obvious for a reason.
All right. So yeah. Where can we find you, Billy? And what have you been up to? I see your little prize in the back that you won from the Night's Watcher there.
Yeah, I set all that up just for that. And I also wanted to show Morgan. I know he would appreciate this. Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 2. Get it on Blu-ray now.
Cool. Cool.
So where can we find you, Bill? What have you been up to?
Yeah, Alicia. You can find me at BBusterBill on Twitter. all the B's are capitalized. I don't produce any content because I'm a loser, but you know what? That's okay because I'm willing to guest on everyone's podcast, and I have guests on many podcasts. You can also find me on all the odd-shaped panel shows. I'm a frequent caller. Sorry, Jack. And yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to make it next week because I'm gonna be in Chicago, and I might miss the finale, but I will do the best I can. And
yeah, it's not gonna be the same. You got to be there for that. If you can, call in from a phone. If you end up watching it, just be careful of spoilers.
Yes, for the night is dark and full of spoilers.
Yes. All right. So thank you for calling in. Hopefully we'll see you next week. But have a safe trip if we don't see you.
Okay. Have a good one.
Yeah. All right. Welcome, Delisha. So we're going to talk to you about how you felt about the episode, your thoughts on Theon, and then what you think the final season 7 scene is going to be. We got to unmute her too, by the way.
Trying.
Delisha, just hit unmute on your mic if you can.
It's really not letting me.
There you go.
Yeah, sorry.
There you go.
I got it.
Go ahead. You heard what I said, right? You heard the question?
Can you say it again? I was like really
yeah.
trying to find the unmute button.
What do you think about the episode? What do you think about Theon having a redemption arc? And then final scene in season 7.
Yeah, overall the episode was pretty good. I mean, again, it wasn't my favorite episode, but I still enjoyed it. I know people were saying that they wanted more deaths, but I was kind of okay with it. I mean, I'm a happy ending type of person, so anytime we get any type of happy ending, anytime we get any happy ending, I'm fine. I live in the moment with Game of Thrones, so I'll just take any happiness I can get. I know that means they're probably all gonna die, but like I said, I'll take what I can get. As far as Theon goes, I don't know. He may not. The show has been really focusing on that PTSD aspect. Like we saw that with Theon back in the ships earlier in the season, then we saw with the Hound, the season with the fire. So they've been really I'm not hammering in, but they've just been subtly putting in that whole PTSD and how it affects people in the moment, or whether subtly or just rampant in their mind. So I don't know. He may have one. He may not. I'm kind of I really don't care because, like she said, he was a dick in the first season. I didn't care about him, and I didn't like him being tortured. Just like I don't like anyone being tortured. I don't think anyone deserves that. But I was just like, all right, well, whatever. Let's see how it goes. And as far as the final episode, I did vote that the wall was coming down only because I couldn't think of anything else, and I don't think any of the queens, so to speak, are going to die. I don't know. I'm just always thinking what is Cersei up to with this whole meeting at King's Landing, and I'm just actually excited to see Jon in King's Landing because we've never seen him there, right? In the show.
Yes, you're
and
correct.
He's never met. But he did meet Cersei in episode 1. But it's cool to see how these characters have grown from season 1 to season 7 now, and now to see them all interact. And I'm kind of hoping for a Melton Hound reunion, so to speak. So I want to see that.
So where can we find you, and what have you been up to?
You can find me at Delisha_Renee on Twitter and on Instagram. Also find me on Aftermath Review and Eric, recapping all of the WWE pay-per-views, along with also our fact checker Joe, who's busy watching other things. And you can also find me writing articles for Odd Shape Panel and also calling into the various Odd Shape Panel shows. And hopefully you can find me at a new job in the next couple of weeks. I don't know.
All right. So thank you very much, and we'll look forward to see you next week at the finale.
Alrighty. Awesome.
All right. Next up is Corey, then Raul, and I think Sam's actually going to call in as well, so that's cool.
Nice.
Huzzah. Beautiful.
Because I'm sure Raul's going to talk about Sam, so then that'll be a good segue to the real Sam. And possibly...
do you guys feel like the wall's coming down? We never talked about it.
I mean, yeah.
That's
man.
what I voted for.
It would be great if they just went right around the wall and like they could have the entire time.
Or they just make a huge ladder of themselves. I think it was the magic that I think it's the magic of the wall that wards them off, not that they can get around it as an obstacle.
Yeah.
Not only is the night full of,
Why is it still ringing?
I don't know. Welcome, Corey. Say hello to Morgan. I tried to say for Delisha, but Delisha met Morgan this weekend on Saturday, so.
Oh, hello, Morgan.
Hello, hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. I hope you are.
I'm okay now that sound has stopped.
Corey's room is also dark and full of terrors, possibly.
My room is dark. For the night is dark and full of fraggles.
So, Corey, what did you think of the episode? What do you think of Theon, his redemption arc, and then what do you think the final season of season 7 will be?
Okay, I've been waiting 7 years just in the show, but I've been waiting like 19 years since I read Game of Thrones for dragons to fight White Walkers. So I had a fangasm so big when they did that this will be remembered as the year Corey had that big fangasm. That's what it'll be on the calendar. So yeah, but I could really do without the Arya thing. Like, it's boring me, and Arya shouldn't bore me because I love Arya. Arya and Tyrion are my two favorite characters, and they've been given jack squat to do this season. But yeah, most of the stuff, like all the stuff north of the wall, was my favorite ever. And I'm not even bothered by the logistics thing.
You know, I want to interrupt you for a second. You bring up an interesting point, saying like your favorite characters have been silenced this season. Do you think it's because of a shortened season and that we have the fact that we have so many characters? Because I know now I'm gonna bring up something else, like a show like Lost that has like 20-something episodes and they have so many characters. Each episode can feature a character. We can't really have that in Game of Thrones. So
I think the problem is more that we don't have George R. R. Martin's dialogue to riff off of anymore, and Tyrion and Arya were two of the biggest beneficiaries of that dialogue. Like Tyrion, you can't write Tyrion unless you're George R. R. Martin. That's what I think is happening.
All right. So what do you think about?
If I may interject, they also might be saving some of the coolest stuff for next season.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Even though it is less episodes, but we do have longer episodes next season, so we'll see what happens. It's just hard with all these, there's so many fan favorites spread out for characters, and people are not getting their due justice for their character in a way. Like, I feel like I got a lot of Jaime this year, and I love Jaime, right? But people who love, you're saying about Arya and Tyrion, you're not really getting as much. So, what?
I miss some of the people on the wall too, because there were other people on the wall.
Yeah, like Dolores Ed and stuff like that, and those people. Yeah.
I think we're seeing them next episode.
Yeah.
As far as Theon, I could not care less. Whatever they do with Theon is fine with me. If they don't do anything with Theon, it's fine with me. He was a dick. He's dickless. He should be gone. That's my new slogan.
Your thought for the final scene? I mean,
my final scene. I think that they're going to take that zombie dragon and smash it right into the wall. I think that's how they're going to take the wall down. And if they do, I think that will be the most awesome thing I've ever seen.
You don't think they want to use it as a weapon?
Oh, I think they will. But I think a zombie dragon can take out the wall and still. I mean, bits of him may be falling off, but he'll still be scary. Maybe more scary at that point.
Some of the scene that we saw back from Bran's visions of a dragon flying over King's Landing, that could be the zombie dragon as well. You never know.
It could. Yeah. But I think that's how they're going to break the wall. I think that the reason they haven't broken the wall yet is because they haven't had a dragon.
Yeah, possibly. So where can
that's it for me.
And what are you up to?
I am at GeoMetroid on Twitter, and I am the host of the Tech Podcast. Come check us out on SoundCloud and Patreon and whatnot. And I'm all over the Game Fixers Network with Mac's various entrepreneurial ventures. Hey, I got that out. I'm a YouTube sensation now, so it's all good.
Nice. I'm glad you can make it to our show on time.
I do. I wouldn't miss this show for the world.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. All right. So thank you, Corey.
All right.
And we'll get Raul next, and then Sam. Basically 2 seconds in a row. Hey, Raul. What's going on, buddy? Say hello to
Hello,
Morgan.
guys. Oh, hello, Morgan. I think I haven't know you yet.
Hello, Raul. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I actually get to speak to you.
Yeah, like it's always an honor to meet another Screen Junkies fan, and also for you to meet the number one fan. Oh no.
So, Raul, your thoughts
Never
on the
happened
episode
before.
and Theon and your final scene for season 7?
First, because the thing that for me this episode was very weak because I was waiting for a big death. The episode was foreshadowing that maybe we're gonna kill Tormund or the Jorah, and I didn't like that guy that was always resurrected, and I forgot his name.
Fair.
And he was the one that was dead, and I didn't even remember who he was. For me, he was like a side character. For me, he was never important, and so I was a little disappointed about that. And also, when the dragon was dying, I was like, already Kimber predicted it like months ago. I was like, it didn't give me surprise.
You tell him, Raul.
And so for me, that's the thing. After so many great episodes, for me, this episode was very weak. I thought that we're gonna see maybe, like everyone said, I thought that Arya was gonna try to kill Littlefinger, and maybe Littlefinger will strike back or something, or maybe keep Arya in like a cage or something. But no, nothing happened. And also, I really hated also that they put out that also maybe Jon Snow is gonna die and then he's back. I was like, I think that this season is constructed of all of the internet memes, Tumblr theories, YouTube, because you can see that there's a lot of fan service this season.
Yeah, what you don't know is they heard us last season when we talked about the fart bladder stuff and how much better it was than what they did on the show, and they actually hired me and Tom to write on Game of Thrones.
I wish.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
No.
Joffrey's coming back.
Ramsay, Oberyn, they're back.
Guys, I didn't know about your new job. This is great.
Oh, if
White
I was
Walker
hired as a writer of Game of Thrones, Cersei will already had an eye patch, and she will be my version of Catalina created in a fantasy world.
All right, what do you think about Theon?
Oh, did Theon appear in this last episode? Because no, right? He didn't appear.
He'll be next week. He'll be there next week, I think. I'm pretty sure I saw him in the preview.
Oh, and we haven't seen the uncle, right?
No, not since episode 3, I don't think.
I was thinking, since like 20 minutes ago, what if, because the thing that I didn't like from the promo is finally Jon Snow seeing Cersei. That for me, that should be a scene for the almost near the series finale. Not right now, like almost like 6 episodes to go. So for me, the final scene will be that Jon Snow will say, I want you to join us. And then the final shot, and then Cersei will say no. And then all of the armies around that Colosseum will start like, oh, we're going to start to fight. And we're going to see Euron, maybe with a bow and arrow, trying to kill Jon Snow. And that will be the final shot of the season 7.
Okay. It's quite the stretch, but
and because I have a feeling they're gonna do like The Walking Dead season 6. We're gonna see finally all of them all together, and they're gonna live in a cliffhanger. You're not gonna see the fight. You're not gonna see who is gonna die because you have to wait 2 years for the next season.
Yeah. All right, Raul. Thank you for calling. Where can we find you, and what have you been up to?
1 minute, just 1 minute before I think of this since 4 days ago. I remember when I said like last year, imagine that everyone is dead, like the series finale, everybody's dead, and you see Littlefinger heading to the throne, and he's finally seated there, and then you see a person going to Littlefinger and Littlefinger says, I did everything you asked me to. And then you see a sword and then decapitates Littlefinger. And then you see that Sam was the puppet master all along.
I thought we could get the episode without mentioning Sam. We almost did it, guys.
Oh, and my alternate finale the same scene, but then we see Sam taking a mask off, and Stannis. That's for Eric.
Oh!
Oh no. Stannis is a man with no face. That was his plan all along.
Okay.
No, no personality.
I think that'd be worse than the actual Pretty Little Liars finale if that happens. All right, so Raul, where can we find you and what have you been up to?
Yeah, you can find me at Raul Bader at DC, and I have been like following all of the shows on O'Shea Panel and Tough, and also go and see the new season of Tough on Sunday.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah, and that's it. And oh my God, is Sam with a shirt?
All right, Raul. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week, hopefully in the finale.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Bye, Raul.
Welcome,
Bye.
Sam. I believe this is your first time calling in to the Night's Watch, so welcome and say hello to Morgan and Tom and Kimber since it's your first time calling in on this show.
Hello.
What's going on?
Morgan, have you got my Manchester tickets yet?
What?
Have you got his Manchester tickets yet?
Hey, I'm hooking you up with tickets.
Well, I'm going to the soccer with you for my birthday, so you should be buying me tickets. That's only fair.
So what's up, Sam? What'd you think of this episode? And also, what do you think about Theon's redemptive arc, and how do you think season 7 is going to end with the final scene?
Well, I already know how season 7 is going to end with the final scene. 'Cause I've been naughty and read the script leaks.
Never mind.
Don't worry, I'm not going to tell anyone. But I went into this week's episode knowing exactly how it was going to pan out 3 weeks ago. And so it lived up to my expectations of knowing what was going to happen.
And what do you think about Theon? I guess, unless, do you know what's going to happen to Theon? If you know what's going to happen to Theon, I guess don't say it.
No, I haven't seen anything about Theon, so...
Okay, so how do you feel? What do you think's going to happen?
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with Theon. I don't know what part he's going to have to play or how he's going to come into it. That'll be very interesting to see, I'm assuming, next season.
People are getting a lot of hate in the chat for reading the scripts. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. But you still felt like it was okay after you reading the scripts for this episode? You were still okay with it and watching it?
Well, it was just so amazing that, because I didn't actually read the scripts, I watched a YouTube video from 8 months ago. So it was amazing how 8 months ago they knew exactly how it was going to be beat for beat. And watching the episode, it was literally beat for beat what was going to happen.
It was kind of like reading a book and then actually seeing it unfold in front of you is how, like, like when you read books and now you see it actually happen, it still is something more to you, even though you know what's happening.
That's it. It was like I was just sitting there waiting. I think I had more anticipation than most people because I knew what was going to happen. So that final scene with the dragon coming back to life, it's like I've been waiting 3 weeks for that, knowing that was going to happen. And when it happened, it's like that was just amazing.
Mm.
Whereas other people that didn't know about that was going to happen, it's like that was a nice surprise for them. But when you've got that sort of build-up, it's like Christmas. It's like, something's going to happen. But, when it does happen, it's just so amazing.
Any other thoughts? Because I know it's your first time calling. Any thoughts on the whole season as a whole and stuff?
I think I'm disappointed that they've gone back to not as many episodes. Like, I understand with the bigger budgets and more CGI why they've done it. But I've watched a lot of recap shows and things, and I do think it hurts it in terms of all the dialogue and stuff that they lose by having a shorter season and sort of having to rush from one place to another and sort of tie everything up in a short amount of time. So personally, I would have preferred to have seen a longer season, but you can't help that.
All right. So, I mean, you know that next week's going to be a good episode, right? You think it's going to be a great episode?
Well, it was... I've known the last 3 episodes, and the one with the least amount of points is next week, so I don't know a lot about next week, but I know 2 or 3 things that happen.
All right, but you've been pleasantly happy with everything that's happened from what you've seen, I mean, from the episodes you've seen. Okay, that's fair. So where can we find you, and what have you been up to?
Well, you can generally find me in bed.
Okay.
That's generally where I am.
As always, yes.
I've been up to a few things. We'll see how those pan out. I've As you've seen, I've sent you a few links of my little mashup Game of Thrones videos that I've been playing around
I
with.
did watch that, what you sent me. Yes, that was really cool.
I got a couple of new ones that I'll have to send you.
All right. I couldn't watch it right away because I was on the cruise when you sent it, but as soon as I got back, I did watch it. That was really cool.
That's still my favorite, but I've got a new one from this week's episode, so I'll have to send that to you.
This week's as in like yesterday's, not like the coming one, right? I mean, like as in Sunday's, right? Okay, cool.
He has the full episode.
Yeah, if it's a full episode, I'll be so upset. And yeah, shout out your Twitter right now so we can get. I want to see.
I can never remember what it is. It's some variation of that Systemary Elephant.
Yeah.
Systemary Elephant, one of those. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for joining us. Nice to see you. Hopefully, see you next week in the finale, and we could talk about what was in the script after we actually see what was in the script. And see
I'll probably be back at work next week, but I'll watch if it's on during my lunch hour.
All right. Thanks a lot, Sam.
All right. Catch you guys.
Is that everyone?
Yeah, I think that was everyone. Do you guys want to have any final thoughts on what you think? I know you guys said the wall's going to come down, but any other final thoughts on this episode or what you expect to see next week?
I kind of like the dragon into the wall idea.
Yeah, I was into that too.
But also, because I agree with you, I don't think the physiology of the dragon has changed. I think if it's going to still breathe fire, it might be blue or something, like how wildfire is green. But maybe they'll melt the wall.
That could be it. Because a dragon is magical, so it'd be magic to counteract magic, I guess, right? So that would make sense. Kimber or Morgan, any thoughts?
It'd be hilarious if they were on the dragon's back and they're just flying. They're going to fly over it, and the second they hit above where the wall is, it's just like an invisible
wall, like in a video game, and it says turn backward, turn back to game, and it's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 counter.
Yeah.
You got load.
Yeah, I like that as well as an excuse for the wall coming down. I would like to see a seriously major death next week, though.
Or several. I think Littlefinger's going down.
Careful what you wish for.
I feel like they've been setting that up all season, that it's been like the plotting of Littlefinger's downfall, so I think that might be next week.
All right. So it's going to be exciting. Unfortunately, the season's coming to an end, and so next week's episode is called The Dragon and the Wolf, and we'll be discussing it right back here at 9 p.m. But before we go, we're going to go through all of us, and we're going to start with the King in the North joining us tonight. Morgan, I know you have some new stuff coming out. You've been working on a bunch of stuff. So tell us where we can find you and what you've been up to.
Yes, well, as always, you can find me on Twitter at the Purpledon. I am filming a lot of this trip that I'm currently on with these wonderful people.
You are?
I am. And so that will be edited into a little series called An OSPeep Abroad as soon as I get home, which will come out, sometime that week in regular frequency. And the Purpledon Enlightenment Hour and Horror House that have been quietening down over the summer are also coming back very soon. Horror House, especially for October, big Halloween month, in a slightly new format. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
And your Twitters, get them out there.
Yeah, just at the Purpledon, and the same on Instagram as well.
It's an
and your Horror House podcast, right? It's at Horror House podcast.
At Horror House Pod if you want to follow that.
All right, Kimber.
Yeah, here at the channel doing all the shows. We also have a couple new shows in the works. One with you guys that I'm sure that Tom might name drop.
I don't know. Maybe we'll announce it next episode.
Tom and I are also working on recording our first episodes of It's a Twofer, which is our show where we pair up movies that kind of mirror each other or seem like a good pairing, go together well. So we'll be filming a couple of those soon, including, it won't be the first one, but Morgan will be filming an episode of that with us. I recorded recently with Screen Mayhem, Steven, and Matthew Whitaker, who you know from the chat. I think he left already, but shout out. I have another episode with those guys coming out of TV 3-Way. That should be coming out soon. And anything else? Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have Twin Peeps. Kal will be there, as usual, unless something happens and he gets sucked into the zone.
Yes. I'm always there really early. The zone just keeps me there the whole day until you guys get on free me. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
He's just trapped. He never left this position. And check out oddshapechannel.com. All the other content on this channel. If you're looking for the Purpledon channel, you can just look to the side and the little purple picture, that's him. So click on that. And I was on an episode of Gamer Grudge recently from the Game Fixers. Yeah, that's pretty much. You can tweet at me at OddShapePanel.
Oh, I'm at Kimberbatch_OSP.
Yep, and I'm gonna go right into that right now because we have our social media page where you could tweet, email at us at nightswatchtube@gmail.com. You could tweet the Night's Watch at nightswatchtube. You can tweet me personally at VarenjaDejaVu, Tom at OddShapePanel, and Kimber at Kimberbatch_OSP. You can find all our content on oddshapechannel.com. And we got to thank Janine once again for our awesome shirts and our title card. You can find her at Janine the Bean and at G9 Designs. And my cousin Shreepball for the theme song. And you can find him at Shreep's Music. So with that, one more thing we got to mention as always is our Night's Watch charity raffle. Once again, make sure if you want to donate and enter, or just donate if you already had the books. If you want to donate, get at me at nightswatchtube or email me nightswatchtube@gmail or even at VarenjaDejaVu, and we'll get that going. And we want to thank Victoria, Vicky, Elise, and Mormo for already donating, and for all the people who already said that they're pledging to donate. I want to keep that up. Once again, I want to thank Morgan for joining us, the King of the North. I hope he has safe travels back, and he'll be here for the rest of the week. I'm sure I'll see him tomorrow night on Twin Peeps, but it was fun to hang out with him on Saturday. We had a great time. I kind of forgot to mention that Morgan actually had a Captain Morgan. So he drank Captain Morgan, and he was Morgan. So that's kind of funny. And it was good. Like I told him he wouldn't have an issue getting a drink. Well, not that he really got the drink, but you know what I mean. It wasn't an issue for getting into a bar in America. And of course, Tom and Kimber we'll see tomorrow on Twin Peeps. And I'll be there. And I'm going to put up this thing one more time. And we'll see you guys next week as our music plays out. See you later. We'll see you at the Dragon and the Wolf season finale.